Okay, so let's unpack this. Forget the fancy restaurants for a moment. Today, we're diving deep into a world where cooking is fundamentally linked to transformation, second chances. We're exploring these culinary training programs and food-related social enterprises run by rescue missions across the U.S.
Yeah, it's a sector that, often gets overlooked, but it offers these incredibly powerful insights. Insights into how vocational training can really serve as a pathway to stability for people facing homelessness, addiction, unemployment, all sorts of challenges. We've been digging into this key report that looked at, well, a whole range of rescue missions, trying to find the patterns, the best practices, what's really working.
Right, and our goal today, our mission, if you like, is to go beyond just, listing facts from the report. We want to understand the why. What makes these programs tick? And what do they really tell us about empowering people through, tangible skills, but also that holistic support? I'm ready to have my expert guide here help us dig into the ingredients that make these programs work.
Happy to do it. This report, it really lays out a fascinating landscape.
So let's start there then. Why culinary training specifically? Why is it popping up so much in rescue missions? I mean, it seems practical, sure, but why food service in particular?
Well, what's fascinating here is how missions have sort of taken their core activity, feeding people, often on a huge scale, and they've built a vocational program right on top of it. It's quite clever, really. The food service industry itself is massive. It's relatively accessible for entry-level workers, and you can teach core, tangible skills fairly quickly. It gives people a visible, understandable path to a job.
And the report highlights something that really struck me, this foundational philosophy of hope and transformation.
Mm.
It's not just like a trade school curriculum they've bolted on. It seems really deeply integrated into the mission's purpose.
Absolutely. That's key. This isn't just vocational training. It's vocational training embedded within, well, a healing and life change process. Think about it, the simple act of preparing a meal, especially for other people. It can restore a sense of dignity, purpose, capability. Plus, the kitchen environment itself, it fosters teamwork, accountability. That focus on rebuilding the person, not just teaching a skill, that seems to be the real secret sauce here.
Yeah, that connection between the practical skill and personal dignity, it really resonates. So the report mentions different ways missions structure these programs, different recipes almost. Can you walk us through the main models they found?
Certainly. So the most direct approach is what they call internal culinary training. This is where participants learn by actually helping prepare the meals served within the mission. For residents or maybe community members, places like Southside Mission, Crossroads Mission Avenue, they use their existing kitchen operations as the classroom, essentially.
Okay, so using the infrastructure and the need they already have. Smart,
Yeah.
efficient. But then there's the public-facing side, right? The social enterprises. This is where it gets really interesting because they're running actual businesses.
Exactly. And these enterprises, they serve as training grounds, but in some cases, they also generate significant revenue. You see a few different models here, like catering, Carm's Abundant Life Catering, or St. Matthew's House's Delicious by Design. Those are good examples. This offers experience with, event-based work, planning, execution, big scale sometime.
Or my favorite sounding one, the cafes and restaurants, like Charlotte Rescue Mission's Community Matters Cafe, or Rescue Mission of El Paso's Hallelujah, BBQ. Sounds good.
Right. Those provide daily operational training, customer service, front of house, back of house rhythms, that day-to-day grind. And then you've got food trucks like Cherry Street Mission Ministry Second Helping.
Uh-huh.
These can teach a mix of culinary skills, logistics, even some entrepreneurial basics, maybe with lower startup costs than a full restaurant. The model a mission chooses, it really depends on their specific goals. Is it mainly about life skills, revenue generation, community outreach, or some blend? And local market conditions matter too, of course.
That makes sense. Different models for different training experiences, different strategic goals. Let's look at some specific examples from the report. See these models in action. St. Matthew's House in Florida. That one really stood out to me. The scale, the financial numbers they reported.
St. Matthew's House is, yeah, a powerhouse example. The social enterprise model, fully integrated. They have Lulu's Kitchen, that's a public restaurant, their catering HQ, and a hub for their feeding ministry. Plus, the Delicious by Design catering arm. What's kind of astonishing from the report is their financial success. Their social enterprises apparently generated nearly 70% of the income needed for the entire organization in FY23. That's, what, $13.4 million from these businesses.
70%. Wow. For a nonprofit running rescue services,
Yeah.
that level of earned income is just incredible.
It really is. And it raises a big question, right? How did they do that? Now, the report doesn't give us a super deep dive into their specific business strategy, unfortunately. But it does highlight that 40% of their total workforce are program graduates. 40%. Which suggests maybe they've built this system where the training enterprise feeds directly into their own staffing needs, creating these internal job pathways, retaining talent they've trained in their specific model, their culture. It shows that integrating training and business can be a significant financial engine, not just a service expense.
That integration sounds absolutely key. The program isn't just training people to go somewhere else. It's training them for potential roles right there within the organization. What about Charlotte Rescue Mission's Community Matters Cafe? That one sounds different. Describe less about revenue, more as a life skills program for recovery grads.
Exactly. It offers a nice contrast to St. Matthew's scale. Community Matters Cafe is a public-facing cafe,
Yeah.
right there in the community. But its primary role, as the report frames it, is as a supportive transitional step, specifically for graduates of their residential recovery program. It's a structured place to practice work skills, build confidence, get comfortable interacting with the public again, but in a safe setting, before they fully re-enter the independent workforce.
Oh, okay. So it's the bridge out of the program. The report mentions they rely heavily on private donations, right? Which underlines that. Well, their main mission isn't necessarily profitability for the cafe itself. It's the outcome for the participants.
Precisely. The value there is the successful transition of the graduates. That's the bottom line, not necessarily the cafe's profit margin.
Interesting. Eugene Mission in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really unique approach, don't they? Two different kitchen setups.
They do. It's quite innovative. On one hand, they have a kitchen focused on teaching basic home economic skills, cooking for yourself, managing a small budget, healthy eating, more about self-sufficiency for individuals or families. But then they have this really interesting hospitality program. They train and employ guests to prepare and serve meals for visiting civic groups. Think Rotary clubs, Lions Club meetings, held right there on site at the kitchen.
That's brilliant. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's not just job training then. It's public relations, community building.
Exactly. It teaches service skills, presentation, teamwork, but critically, it brings hundreds of community members onto the mission's campus every month. Imagine the impact. It breaks down stigma. People interact directly with the individuals the mission serves. They see their capabilities, their dedication firsthand. It's powerful advocacy through hospitality.
Wow. That interaction must be transformative for both sides, I imagine. Cherry Street Ministries in Toledo also caught my eye, especially those job outcome numbers the report highlighted. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, Cherry Street's Culinary Arts Track, which includes their second helping food truck social enterprise, it's a real standout for workforce development outcomes. They use an earn while you learn model on the food truck, which is just incredibly important. It helps participants meet immediate financial needs while they're building skills. That's huge. They teach concrete kitchen skills like mise en place, getting everything prepped and ready, but also budgeting, customer service, even business basics.
And the report's numbers are really compelling. 80% employment within 30 days of graduation, an average wage of $20 an hour. And what was it, 70% job retention after 3 years? That's amazing.
Those long-term retention numbers are really, really significant. And the report links the success, at least in part, to their strong partnerships. With community colleges, participants can earn industry-recognized certifications, like ServSafe, which is essential for food handlers, and other credentials, like Assets Toledo. These external validations, they make graduates highly attractive to employers and likely contribute to those better wages and that impressive job security.
Okay, so that external validation, the partnership piece, that seems crucial for the long haul. What about the rescue mission of El Paso's Hallelujah, BBQ? That sounds like another enterprise model supporting the wider mission.
It is. Hallelujah. BBQ is specifically framed as a vocational rehabilitation ministry. It employs former residents, graduates of their recovery programs, provides a supportive, safe work environment, that's key, and the profits from the BBQ joint. They directly support the mission's broader services, including their core recovery programs. So here, the business is maybe less about income for the training program itself and more about being a sustainable revenue stream for the whole organization while providing therapeutic structured work for grads.
Got it. So the enterprise is both a funding mechanism and a training or employment ground. Makes sense. And finally, Olive Branch Mission in Chicago. Their focus seems to be just sheer scale.
Yes, their culinary program is tied directly to serving. Get this. Over 425 1,000 meals annually to the community. So this gives participants extensive real-world experience in large-scale institutional food service. Think bulk purchasing, managing huge volumes, adhering to really rigorous food safety protocols. They train participants for food handling certification, naturally, and the report shows the revenue comes primarily from grants and contributions, which indicates the training itself is treated as a core service expense, subsidized by donations, rather than an enterprise expected to offset its own costs.
That's a really important distinction. The training itself is the valuable service the mission provides, funded by their core donor base.
Exactly. It's a different model, different goal.
Okay, so looking across all these different examples, these different models,
Yeah.
what are the universal lessons here? What are the key ingredients the report identifies? The things that are essential for these programs to work, regardless of the specific structure.
Yeah, if we pull back and look for the common threads, across the successful programs in the report, several key ingredients really emerge. First, it's the integration of hard and soft skills. Definitely. Participants need to learn the culinary techniques. Absolutely. Knife skills, cooking methods. But just as vital, maybe even more so for keeping a job, are the soft skills. Communication, teamwork, reliability, time management, problem solving, showing up. The report explicitly mentions programs like St. Matthew's, Shelter KC, Rockford, Central Union Mission, building this right into their curriculum. Employers consistently say it's those soft skills that determine long-term job retention.
Right. It's the difference between knowing how to chop an onion and knowing how to show up on time and work effectively as part of the kitchen crew when things get busy.
Precisely. Second big one, industry-recognized certifications. These are a major differentiator, earning something like ServSafe or another credential. It provides tangible, portable proof of competence. Employers trust it. And partnerships with educational institutions, like Cherry Street's links with the community college, they're highlighted as a really effective way to achieve this credibly.
Adds that layer of professional validation, makes graduates more competitive.
Third, success really requires structured, hands-on learning. Programs need a clear progression, plenty of practical application, and ideally, real-world experience, whether that's serving mission residents, catering events, working a cafe shift, or being on a food truck. And those earn-while-you-learn models, they seem particularly effective. They provide immediate reinforcement and address basic needs simultaneously.
Learning by doing and getting paid for it sounds highly motivating.
It absolutely is. Fourth, and this is maybe the most critical piece, this training doesn't happen in a vacuum. The report strongly emphasizes the need for a holistic support ecosystem. Vocational training is a piece of the puzzle, sure, but it has to be connected to services addressing other needs: housing stability, addiction recovery, mental and physical health, ongoing case management. Those long-term success stories, like Portland Rescue Mission's 81% long-term success rate for their program graduates, or Cherry Street's amazing job retention, they're tied to this comprehensive support system. It's fundamental.
Yeah, the job skills give you a path forward, but you can only walk that path if those foundational barriers are being addressed.
Exactly right. You can train someone perfectly, give them all the skills. But if they don't have stable housing or reliable childcare, or if they're actively struggling with addiction, keeping that job becomes incredibly difficult, near impossible sometimes. And finally, community engagement and advocacy. This plays a really vital role too. Those public-facing enterprises, or programs like Eugene's hospitality setup, they actively break down negative stereotypes. Stereotypes about the individual's missions serve. They educate the community. They showcase the capabilities, the dedication of participants. And that, in turn, builds goodwill. It can literally open doors for employment opportunities for graduates.
So it's not just a training program inside the walls. It's a public demonstration of potential, a
Yes.
tool for changing perceptions out in the community.
Yeah.
That all sounds incredibly impactful, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But running complex programs like this with vulnerable populations, it must come with some serious challenges, right?
Yeah.
Where does the heat get turned up?
Oh, absolutely. You're right. It's far from easy. The report identifies several significant hurdles these missions face. For starters, there's the high initial investment, just getting started. You need commercial kitchen equipment, maybe renovations, possibly purchasing vehicles like food trucks. That's a substantial capital cost right up front.
Yeah, that's a major barrier for many nonprofits right out of the gate. Big hurdle.
And then there's finding and retaining skilled staff. This is huge. You need chefs with real culinary expertise and teaching ability. You need business managers who understand both operations and the mission's goals. That's a tricky balance. And you need case managers, support staff who are trained in trauma-informed care, who can address really complex participant needs. Finding individuals with that specific blend of professional skill and, well, compassionate understanding It's challenging.
So you need top-notch technical skill and a deep commitment to the human side of the work. That's a rare combination.
It really is. Which leads directly to the next challenge, addressing participant barriers. Many individuals entering these programs, they come with histories of trauma, addiction, chronic health issues, maybe criminal records, or simply a lack of any positive work history at all, providing the intensive, individualized support they need to overcome these barriers alongside the training. It's incredibly resource intensive, takes time, takes money, takes expertise.
And for the social enterprises specifically, there's that inherent tension you mentioned earlier.
Exactly, the balancing act between mission and business. It's a constant tightrope walk. How do you prioritize the training needs of someone who needs extra time, maybe makes mistakes, while also needing to run an efficient, high-quality business, one that can attract paying customers, maybe even generate revenue? Managing that dual bottom line, social impact and business viability, it's incredibly complex, requires really careful leadership, clear priorities.
Right. It's like trying to be a teaching hospital and a five-star restaurant at the exact same time.
That's a pretty good analogy, yeah. And they are operating in competitive markets. So market viability isn't guaranteed. The food, the service, it has to be good enough to compete with established commercial businesses down the street. And finally, while some enterprises do generate income, the report strongly suggests that the training costs themselves often require sustainable funding beyond enterprise revenue. The Springs rescue mission example they mentioned highlights training costs that weren't offset by business revenue. It shows that donations, grants, they're often essential subsidies for the training component, relying solely on enterprise revenue to fund the entire program. That seems rarely feasible in the long run.
Okay, so the enterprise might help pay the bills, but it usually doesn't cover the full cost of the training itself. That makes sense. And measuring the true long-term impact, that sounds complicated too.
It is. Accurately measuring long-term outcomes. Things like sustained employment over years, career progression, maybe reduced recidivism, it's just difficult. Most data points to shorter-term outcomes, like placement rates right after graduation, capturing the true lasting impact on an individual's life trajectory. That requires dedicated tracking, resources, follow-up. It's a hard work.
Okay, so we've got the potential, the successful examples, the key ingredients, and these pretty significant challenges. So for a mission looking at this report, maybe wanting to start something like this or improve a program they already have, what's the recipe for replication? What are the strategic recommendations?
Well, based on the report's findings, several strategic steps seem crucial. First, and this sounds basic, but it's essential, do thorough feasibility work up front. Really understand your community's needs. What's the local job market like for culinary skills? What's your mission's existing capacity, your resources? Don't bite off more than you can chew, so to speak.
Right. Don't just assume it's a good idea because it works somewhere else. Prove it can work for you in your context.
Exactly. Second, adopt an integrated, holistic approach. We keep coming back to this. Your culinary program must be deeply connected to your other support services, recovery, housing, counseling. It needs to be part of that overall pathway to stability, not just a standalone thing.
The ecosystem. Non-negotiable. Got it.
Third, develop a robust curriculum. It absolutely has to combine those practical kitchen skills with the crucial soft skills. Aim for those industry certifications. Explore partnerships with local community colleges or vocational schools. Leverage their expertise for curriculum design, accreditation, like Cherry Street does so effectively.
Make sure the skills they learn are current, relevant, and officially recognized.
Fourth, if you're planning a social enterprise, choose the model carefully. Think hard about it. Which structure, cafe, catering, food truck, something else best aligns with your primary goal? Is it workforce training first? Transitional employment? Revenue generation? Community engagement? Be clear on the priority and consider earn while you learn models if at all possible.
Tailor the business model to the mission's specific objective for that program.
Fifth, build strong community partnerships. This is critical. Relationships with potential employers who might hire your graduates. Educational institutions, other nonprofits for referrals, collaboration, and crucially, funders. Funders who understand the integrated nature and the potentially subsidized cost of the training piece.
Leverage every connection you can possibly make.
Sixth, develop a diversified and realistic funding strategy. Assume the training itself is a service expense that likely requires subsidy. Plan for that. Build reliable funding sources beyond just potential enterprise revenue. Grants, individual donors, corporate sponsors. Build a sustainable mix.
Plan for the actual cost of the training itself, not just the business side.
Seventh, invest in qualified and mission-aligned staff. This is absolutely paramount. Can't stress it enough. You need people who are technically excellent and deeply committed to serving the specific population with patience, empathy, and importantly, trauma awareness.
The right team makes all the difference, period.
Eighth, implement a robust outcome measurement system. You need to track beyond just program completion numbers. Look at job placement rates, sure, but also wages and, importantly, long-term job retention. How are they doing a year out, 3 years out? And supplement the numbers with powerful participant stories. They help convey the full human impact.
Right. Data tells you what happened, stories tell you why it matters.
Ninth, foster a supportive, trauma-informed environment. The learning setting, the work setting, it has to feel safe, stable, and understanding. It needs to recognize the significant challenges participants may have faced and might still be facing.
That's psychological safety. It's fundamental to learning, to growth, especially for this population.
And finally, number 10, plan for aftercare. The journey doesn't end on graduation day. Not even close. Models like Central Union Mission's Barnabas Journey, which offer ongoing mentoring support community, they're shown to significantly improve long-term job retention and help prevent relapse or instability. That follow-up is key.
Providing that continued support structure, that safety net, as they navigate independence. Wow. This has been a really fascinating deep dive. It shows that culinary training in rescue missions, it's so much more than just teaching people how to cook.
It really is. It's this powerful intersection of vocational skill, personal healing, community building, and economic empowerment. Ultimately, it's about restoring not just employment, but hope, dignity, purpose, belonging.
Absolutely. It really is powerful. And when you think about it, when you consider how providing a pathway to a universally needed skill, like culinary arts, how it serves not just the individual finding stable work, but also strengthens the entire community by breaking down barriers, showcasing potential. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other fundamental needs could be leveraged like this? What other skills or industries could benefit from this kind of integrated, mission-driven approach? Something to think about.